Griffin Grossmont College Radio, El Cajon, California.
It's big, it's beautiful, and you're gonna love it.
Welcome to Breakfast of Imbeciles, the thinking man's analysis of giant hamster balls, lunch lady larceny, ham, and all the other hard-hitting stories cable news doesn't want you to hear.
No, it's not.
It's different. It's unusual.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, Breakfast of Imbeciles. That's right. Once again, it is Tuesday morning here at Griffin Radio. I'm DJ Lunchbox here with Breakfast of Imbeciles every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 10 a.m. Joined by the lovely
DJ Threadz
and the
DJ Thunderstuck.
I haven't given you your adjective yet.
Just go.
There's no need. We're here again. We're doing this.
Preempted me on that one.
I just figured, hey, it's Tuesday. It's Thanksgiving's on Thursday.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Let's just run through this. Let's make this happen.
Well, let's run through this.
Let's do it.
The views, comments, and opinions expressed on the show are those of the individuals and not necessarily shared by Griffin Radio, the Media Communications Department, Grossmont College, or the Grossmont Cuyamaca Community College District. This podcast is copywritten by Griffin Radio and Grossmont College 2018.
You remembered this time. Wow.
Yeah, well, shut up. I don't need your attitude. Hang on, my microphones, I've got like a one ear thing going on. There we go. Okay, that's better. Couldn't hear out of one of my cans. That's not a euphemism. So let's just go ahead and jump right in here, get a couple of announcements out of the way. Griffin Radio is a proud part of the Grossmont College community, and we're always looking for news and information that's important to our fellow students and faculty. If you have any news or announcements you'd like to get out there, bring any campus-approved flyers or bulletins to Griffin Radio in Building 20, or email our promotions manager at latanya.ramos77@gmail.com.
Oh, I like that.
Ramos.
Yeah, he did that rolling R. I was like, oh, goodness.
Ruffles have ridges.
Somebody took 2 years of Spanish in high school. Wow. It's paying off.
I took 1 semester of German and 1 semester of Japanese. So I'm lucky I can pronounce my R's at all.
There you go. It's impressive.
Grossmont College Jazz Studies presents the Danny Green Trio for a one-night-only musical extravaganza. This oral feast for your ears is on November 29th at 7:30 p.m. for a single evening. One solitary, beautiful, enchanted night. Okay. Come see Danny Green, Julian Cantelm, and Justin Grinnell at the Grossmont Recital Hall in Building 60, Room 220. Admission is $10 for the general public, $8 for seniors and faculty, or $5 for students. Don't miss it.
Don't miss it.
That's all I had to say about that.
Sounds very threatening.
The Grossmont College Theater Arts Department presents She Kills Monsters by Qui Wen and is directed by Jason Heil. The show will run from November 29th until December 8th, and shows on Thursdays and Fridays are at 7:30 p.m., and shows on Saturday will be at 2 and 7:30 p.m. For tickets, call 619-644-7234 or visit grossmont.edu/theater brochure. And theater is the classic spelling with the R-E, Theatre, brochure. Grossmont College Stagehouse Theater is here on campus at 8800 Grossmont College Drive. So if you see the campus on the freeway, you have completely missed your exit. So you have failed. You have failed. You must try better.
Miserably. Go
Go down to the next exit, make a U-turn, and try again. And this time, try harder. I was gonna say I'm missing a flyer here, but I forgot we already had the breakfast brigade, the basket brigade. That would have been a good name for this show,
right?
So good morning, everybody. Wow, I can't believe it's Thanksgiving week already. I'm feeling fantastic today. I will tell you that. I know Threads, you're running on what, 4 hours?
4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
I need cucumbers and something else by the time I get home, but I'm not going to mention what the something else is.
Oh my God.
I got y'all visuals.
I'm just going to say orange juice and be done with that. Yeah, so my man is off work for the week, so I got to sleep in a little bit this morning, since usually we get up at like 5:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so that we can leave the house and shower and everything and not step on each other's toes. So yeah, I got to sleep in a little before coming in today. I've had my coffee. I've taken my pills. I'm doing my Kegel exercises right now. I'm feeling good.
Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus. It's a little too early.
Like a box of chocolates.
Never too
you never
early.
know what
Haven't
you're
even had
gonna
my coffee yet.
Yes, but I have. and that's my point. So our radio class here at Grossmont was invited to a private tour of iHeartMedia over in, what was it, Sarah Mesa? Did we ever decide what the area was actually called?
It was in San Diego.
It's off Arrow. It's off Arrow Drive. So, yeah, it's in San Diego. And
I'm not from San Diego, so it's like I'm learning all these names, and so I just say San Diego.
I'm from San Diego, and I'm still learning all these names. So
see, it's win-win.
My sister.
You're both terrible.
I know.
Well, how was it though? Did you guys enjoy the trip?
We had a really good time. So it was actually a really small group. Not a lot of people were able to come. So LaTanya brought her husband Ray, and our professor brought her husband along as well. Right. And then lonesome little me standing there just going stag.
No, he was
fifth wheeling.
I was going stag. I was ready.
Oh God.
And so Phil Farrar, the host on Kogo down there, who kindly had extended us this personal invitation, let us into the building after a while. And
after making you wait outside in the cold.
It was freezing.
I was comfy, but that's just me. Yeah, so we got into the building. No, we got into the building.
We ran our car into the
snuck in.
Got in.
I picked a lock. Threads crawled up the wall and spray painted the camera so they couldn't see us.
I'm just saying, I'm Spider-Woman.
But no, it was great. We got to see the Kogo newsroom, and there are freaking microphones everywhere in that building. Wow. They had 6 desks, like a little cube farm in the middle, like a bullpen. And then I think there was another 4 desks lining the walls. Just they looked like everything was just a temporary station. Every one of those desks had a full microphone setup.
Wow.
And it was fascinating because it wasn't like they had a board like we have with the sliders. It just looked like an amp with a microphone and a headset, some headphones.
Right.
And so when they were ready to go, Phil would just hit a button, and then it would get piped straight into the board op room and go out across the air from there. It was really interesting.
From his desk.
Well,
I just couldn't believe that you can report the news from your desk and the production room be way off the side where you have no sight. And so it's like you and the second person gotta be like on point to where you don't even have to look at each other. That's pretty darn impressive.
We were very much in the presence of professionals. And Mike, the board op, I think he said he'd been doing it like in total for about 30 years, working in the radio industry.
Wow, that's insane.
And it was fascinating because Phil first took us into the actual booth, the actual studio, where there's like a table with a whole bunch of microphones. They got the logos, and it was what you normally see in photographs. And he parked himself at one end, and they did the thing. And they were doing the talk back over the headset, him talking to the board op, and then they just went, and he did the news, and that was it for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
2 minutes, but it felt like, I don't know, but
it went so fast.
It went so fast, but in my head, I'm like, was that 5 to 7 minutes?
Yeah.
Because it's so much information. I'm like, what in the world? Like 2 minutes. He dished out like 5 or 6 stories, including the weather. And I'm like, hot dog.
Yeah, it was very headlines. I mean, you listen to the news on the air, and it's mostly the headlines with a couple of details, not the kind of news we do here where we read the full story.
Right.
But it was really interesting. But then from that point on, he just parked himself at the desk in a comfy chair and had the microphone in front of him and his computer he was pulling his stories from, and he just simply was copy pasting, inserting his SOTs, and then as soon as they were ready to go, he just yelled over to the board op, who's in another room with the door open, "Okay, I'm ready to go." And then, I don't want to pop the bubble of mystique here, but
and then on top of that, what was it? I had lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
Darn it! You gave me that visual.
So we were talking about the news. He was sitting there.
The news feed. Okay.
Oh, the program.
Yeah. He was doing all that, and then it'll be like, okay, I'm about to go on air and at 9:07. It would be 9:03, and he put his script together with the SOT in less than 5 minutes to give out 2 minutes of it.
Oh yeah, it was. We'll go over it in class later because it's probably not very interesting to people who aren't interested in the industry. But the program he used to compile his news stories was really cool.
Yeah,
right.
And they didn't have to print anything. There wasn't a printer in sight, as far as I know.
Right.
Computers.
Well, just please tell me, did he bring out his famous sloppy joes?
He did not have any sloppy joes.
Okay, no.
He was working. He didn't have time to. He didn't have time to serve us.
Well, then I'm glad I didn't miss it.
He was a working man.
I'm glad I missed it. If there's no sloppy joes, then What's the point?
And then we got to go around and see some of the other famous studios like Jammin' 90 and then 933 and 94.1.
Nice.
Got to see where the magic happens, where the famous butts get to sit. And we sat in those same chairs.
Did you do any begging for internships?
You know what? It's so funny you mention that because I brought a pack of resumes with me just in case somebody was like, you know what? We're looking for somebody right now who's about 6'2", get a little gray. We need somebody here. What about you? Do you have a resume with you? So, of course, I didn't think about it. It's the weekend. Right. There was nobody else in the building.
We were like 5 people, you know, to include Phil. It was like empty.
Yeah, it was empty. And it was funny because he was talking about often they'll have all 6 desks full and people just screaming across the room, you know, getting news stories out, talking about headlines. It was really interesting, and I would love to be able to be there when they're actually full, when all the studios were in use.
Right. We'll have to sneak in during the week.
But 94.1, I think it was, that studio had a little electric fireplace in the corner.
Ooh,
so that was
fancy.
Schmancy, yeah.
Wow.
And they had the warm lights and everything.
Yeah, that's right. Some of them had very, very awesome mood lighting, and you know, they have the awful harsh lighting overhead, but then you can turn those like we do in here, and you can do the kind of the soft orange lighting, very calming. And we just had a really good time. It was very informative.
I'm glad you guys had a good time.
Well, primarily for me at least, it was really interesting to finally see these studios and make them real in my mind.
Yes.
Because you hear people on the radio all the time, and you hear them talking about being on the radio, but until you really see it, it just doesn't. You don't really understand how it works. And once we actually got to see it, it was like, okay, this is an attainable career option, because now I'm not standing here in this ivory tower full of these radio wizards, and I have no hope of ever joining them.
Right.
These are just schlubs like us who are obviously professionals and trained and have experience, but can do the same thing that we're already doing here.
Exactly.
And the boards that they had were a little bit more complicated than the ones we have, but this board that we have here, they actually had in a few studios.
Ooh.
So it was like, I know that.
It was all
I'm ready.
transferable.
Let's go.
And then, you know how we use Pro Tools?
Yes.
They were using Adobe Audition. And then when you look at Adobe Audition, it's literally almost, you got to learn a couple of things, but it's almost the same thing.
So it was fast. It was very heartening. It was very motivating to realize that this is actually doable. This isn't like the things we're learning now are fine for the class, and then once we get out into the industry, we're basically just adrift because it's not applicable, but it totally is applicable.
There you go.
So yeah, we should actually make a little slideshow presentation for the class with the photos we took.
We should.
It's adorable.
I think we should do that. You know, a short one, because it's interesting to us because we were there and
Let
everybody
me
else
get
is
some
like,
more sleep and then we'll do that.
Throw some music on there.
Oh, man. All right, guys, so we are going to take a break here just so we can kind of reset and calm down, come back from the euphoria of our little tour this weekend. Don't forget, you guys can check us out on our Facebook page at Griffin Radio 119. Our Instagram account is Griffin Radio SD. And, of course, you can hear us on the TuneIn app under the Griffin Radio channel for your Android and iPhone. I'm DJ Lunchbox here on Griffin Radio with
DJ Threadz
and DJ Thunderstuck.
And Breakfast of Imbeciles. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Breakfast of Imbeciles, everybody. I'm DJ Lunchbox here with Griffin Radio.
With DJ Thunderstruck.
and DJ Threadz.
Absolutely, dream team.
I love this music.
I love this song.
Love it.
It's making me want to start to knit now.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm motivating y'all.
I don't get it, but okay.
I'm motivating.
To each their own.
I'm gonna bring some needles and some hooks, and we're gonna be hooking over here.
When you say it like that,
I mean, I don't mind stabbing somebody
starts
with a
to sound like we need
needle.
an alley somewhere.
And that's what helps. I knit so I don't kill people.
Oh my goodness.
I live
taking a
kind of
dark
near
turn.
El Cajon Boulevard, so hooking has a whole different meaning where I
All right.
live.
Well, let me turn the game up.
Oh God.
Well, everybody, welcome back to Breakfast of Imbeciles every Tuesday and Thursday here on Griffin Radio from 9 to 10 a.m. And you know what? Let's just jump straight into the news because why the hell not? We got some good stories here today.
Uh-oh.
Oops. I guess I should actually turn off that song because I don't need it anymore.
It's a good song. Go ahead.
Well, I always forget how long it is. So yeah, I'm just going to jump straight into the news.
feel like I'm in a 70s news broadcast.
That's why I had to bring that new flavor because I was like, wow. Yeah.
Let's do this.
I just feel like we needed some serious news here.
Let's get serious, everybody.
An 11-year-old boy in Cleveland is facing charges after taking police on a high-speed chase Sunday night after his mother took away his PlayStation. The boy, whose name was not released by the police, stole his mother's 2003 Dodge Durango around 10:45 p.m. on Sunday after they got into an argument that led to her taking away his PlayStation, according to Cleveland.com. She went to bed after the argument, only to be awakened by a phone call from the boy's father, who said he saw their son driving the SUV.
Jesus.
The boy drove recklessly, reaching speeds above 70 miles per hour. That's not
Oh
that fast.
my gosh.
I do like 75 just down the street here from getting the on-ramp to the no, I'm kidding.
No, let me know when you're leaving so I'm not on the road.
Well, I'll be in the right lane. So. The boy drove recklessly, reaching speeds above 70 miles per hour until he crashed the SUV into a parked truck, according to local station WEWS-TV. He was taken to a local hospital where he was treated for minor injuries. It was the second time in 13 months the boy took the family's car out for an illegal joyride.
Oof.
Oh my gosh.
In October of last year, he led troopers on a 50-mile chase on an interstate before being apprehended.
Oh, my God.
He was charged with a felony in juvenile court. A judge ruled he was incompetent to stand trial, and the charges were dismissed.
Well, you know what? I bet he's still a better driver than some of these people on campus.
I completely agree with
what?
that.
He's probably still a much better driver.
Once again, I got
God.
stuck behind somebody this morning with a dangly thing in their mirror, going about 15 miles slower than everybody else.
You know, I think it's time you actually start a story on that.
I'm really going to do some sort of expose. That might be my project for next semester when we have something like that to do.
Do like a
just-
mockumentary.
I want to go back to my son would be homeless at a very early age.
I saw a lot of heads snap up behind you there. By the way, did you want to tell our? By the way, speaking of your sons, before you proceed, did you want to introduce your guests to us?
Yes, they're going to be on the show and they might chime in. Who knows? But they're in the backdrop. Everybody I have.
They're texting. They're talking about you.
I know. Were they on their phones and them fingers started snapping? Like, no, your mom did not say that. But I have my son here, Andrew, and his best friend Desmond.
Yeah.
They're going to be spending the day together, pretty much. And they're here to see how the magic happens.
Excellent.
And he also now knows that he will be homeless at a very early age should he decide to get in my car, crash it all behind a PlayStation.
Well, and that's recorded now, so it's being broadcast. So there's at least you, me, and Thunderstruck. So there's probably at least 4 witnesses.
and Brian, who's listening.
Yes, exactly. And Stormnut down there going,
there you go.
I'm so bored right now listening to these people. Anyway, Threads, I'm so sorry I interrupted. You were saying you were talking about your.
That's all I had to say. Because I'm like,
Straight to the
and
point.
this is his second time?
Second time, yep.
No.
And he's only 11.
I got to start him fast.
Mm-hmm.
Start him young and fast.
Fast
Jeez.
and Furious.
I was going to say give him a few years and he'll be like in the Fast and Furious 14 steel hips.
Jesus.
Vin Diesel creaking around.
All over a PlayStation.
Well, it doesn't say. Okay, now that was actually what kind of annoyed me about the story. It just simply says PlayStation, which is spelled correctly with the capital P, capital S.
Ooh.
Oh.
But it doesn't say which PlayStation. I'm
Okay.
assuming it's a 4 because a 3 at this point in history is really not that.
Yeah, so this kid isn't going crazy over a defunct dinosaur PlayStation 1.
Well, maybe. Well, it could be. It says PlayStation. Maybe it is the PS1 back from like
If it is,
1995.
he
God.
needs to seek some counseling
Yeah.
because
Jeez.
that's old.
I'd understand if it was over like a Nintendo Switch, but
A Florida woman says she's getting death threats because of her Holocaust-themed display she put up in her front yard.
Springtime for Hitler and Germany.
oh my God.
Deutschland is happy and gay.
Susan Lamerton, a realtor in Newport Richey, put up a display earlier this week, last month, featuring skeletons with concentration camp ID numbers on their arms and a Star of David on their chests. The
Jesus
display also
Christ.
features a sign reading Arbeit macht frei, which means work sets you free in German. It's a slogan that was on display at the entrance of Nazi concentration camps like Auschwitz. Now, okay, I know what you're already thinking, but Lamerton told HuffPost earlier this month that she is Jewish and the display is not for Halloween, but is meant as a political protest against her local homeowners association.
Jesus Christ. Those damn homeowners, man.
Oh, they get strict.
Why? Like,
Jesus Christ.
Why?
She accuses the HOA of harassing her because she put a sign with the Star of David in her yard, which she says is allowed by the rules, but the HOA apparently hassled her about that. Huffington Post, who broke the story, was not able to reach the HOA for comment. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, God. You know what? I hate these homeowner associations. I think they're just nothing but a bunch of, like...
busybodies.
Yeah, busybodies. They got nothing else better to do but to, like, snoop around people's business and just make life miserable for everybody else.
And we've actually had a discussion about that a few times at home. I don't understand why anybody would voluntarily enter a neighborhood that has an HOA because... Now, it's such a tired kind of joke that HOAs are all awful, kind of like back in the 90s, Kaiser was a joke, a healthcare provider, but I'm sure that there is some good, otherwise why would there be so many of them? But you never hear any positive stories about what my HOA has done for me. It's always
pretty much
HOA, find me $800 because I wasn't watering my lawn, or my mom lives in one of those places out in Utah, retirement community, and all the houses have 2 choices of color to be painted: adobe and medium brown. Ooh. So it's just a sea of crap-colored houses for miles around, and it's so ugly.
I think they're like, with HOAs, I think before you buy a home, if you have an HOA, to definitely read it, because sometimes to me it looks like a group of people trying to create their own community and what they think it should look like and what they think it should be, and these are my rules, so you have to follow them. And if you don't, well, then you don't move in. And it almost feel like a little gang to me or something.
Yes, and the trap is that it's all voluntary. Is people choose to join these places, so you can't say, oh well, they're treating me unfairly, because then they can rule with their little iron fist, these little tin pot dictators, because oh well, you chose to move here, so you have to abide by our terrible rules.
And then they put it in little writing, so you have to sit and make sure you have a cup of coffee and a magnifying glass to read through that entire book.
Well, too, I think some of the HOAs also will pass new ordinances, new regulations. So I don't know if everybody who lives in that HOA, in that association, has to ratify it, or if it's just the ruling body, the HOA association that does it. But it just does not strike me as a fun thing.
So, moral of the story: HOAs are the devil. So let's just leave it there.
Yes,
moral of the story.
I will accept that. Since I don't know if we should add the word allegedly, just in case. I mean, this isn't really like a news show, but
no, let's do that. The umbrella word.
Yeah, I don't want to start picking too many fights here after only being on the air for 8 weeks.
Let's go. I'll take on all of the HOAs.
Y'all hear that, DJ Thunderstuck? He ain't scared.
It's because it's not his butt on the line. It's not his show.
Pretty much.
A New England man is facing charges for pretending to be a wedding officiant and then stealing the bridesmaids' credit card numbers.
Don't take the money. Don't take the money.
Police in Yarmouth, Massachusetts say James Stern not only impersonated a justice of the peace at a Cape Cod wedding last month, but he allegedly stole credit card information from the bridesmaids, according to Fox News. Stern of New Hampshire was arrested earlier this week and charged with larceny by fake pretense and impersonating a justice of the peace. Who knew it was a crime to impersonate a justice of the peace? You see one of those goobers sitting there in the chapel at Vegas, and that's a crime to impersonate one of them in their Elvis wigs?
Oh, God.
I mean, it's a crime against fashion and good sense, but...
Don't knock it till you try it.
Well,
that's all I can say.
You make a fair point.
It's been a dream of mine.
Why you give me that visual? Now I'm gonna be thinking about DJ Lunchbox in front of the church with an Elvis Presley wigs.
I'll be right there. I'll be right there with him. God.
Two snaps of circle.
Ashley Value and David Mellon hired Stern to officiate their September 15th wedding and add lighting and run a photo booth. Value made the decision after seeing numerous favorable online reviews for his business, An Amazing Day, it was called. She said, I was originally researching photo booths and uplighting, and James Stern's business was highly recommended on The Knot and Wedding Wire, she told Yahoo News. It stated on their sites he had won multiple awards and had excellent reviews by others. The business is no longer listed on those websites.
Good.
Oh, God. Police discovered Stern's criminal record in Massachusetts had 51 entries dating back to 1994 for crimes like identity fraud, fraudulent use of a credit card, and related larceny charges. This is my favorite part. Value, the bride, told Mass Live, news agency there, that Stern didn't bring the promised lighting and that guests noticed him sleeping outside the bridal suite during cocktail hour.
OMG.
She's also still waiting for the flash drive with the wedding photos. Even worse, 2 weeks after the wedding, 2 of Value's bridesmaids discovered that someone had used their credit cards for purchases, one for $700 and one for $850 in charges, while the other had a $1,200 43 charge.
Don't they have that thing called civil arrest or where we can go and handle that?
Well, I mean, clearly the message here is just don't get married.
Yes,
because this kind of thing is going to happen.
That's the takeaway.
Yeah.
Don't get married.
That's the lesson I learned here.
Oh, man, that's horrible.
That's a lot of money.
Well, you know what? Good on for those girls for having that kind of available credit. Because, my cards are kind of maxed out right now.
That's a good point.
I don't make good financial decisions. I just want to say that.
It's all that boxed wine that you spend money on.
Actually, no. My man is the one who acquires our wine, and he's got a good tongue for it. That doesn't sound right.
No.
He has a good taste in wine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, is it bottled or boxed?
Well, it's bottled, but it comes in a box. It's a box full of bottles.
Okay, then that's perfect.
Is that okay?
You're making
Best
a
of both
wise.
This would be
that's
the
a wise.
This would be the
decision.
one morning that he's probably actually listening because he's off work.
And
Hey.
he probably immediately regrets it.
I know I do. Okay, I found this this story actually very interesting because it sort of relates very directly to. Can something be sort of directly? It relates to the radio class we have, where we've been learning that local personalities are making a comeback when it comes to radio and other local news. So this particular story seems like a bit of a step backward. An artificial intelligence news anchor makes its debut on Chinese television.
You have selected Microsoft Sam as the computer's default voice.
An artificial intelligence... Oh, my God.
Wait.
An AI popped up on state news in China for the Xinhua news agency saying, "This is my very first day at Xinhua news agency," said a sharply dressed artificial intelligence news anchor. "I look forward to bringing you the brand new news experience." Chinese Xinhua news agency has billed the technology as, quote, the world's first AI news anchor, unveiled at the World Internet Conference in China's Zhejiang province. The anchor learns from live broadcast videos by himself and can read texts as naturally as a professional news anchor. Some disagree about whether this technology appears natural. Now, let me just say, I watched a video of this, and it was about as natural as the CG they used to make those old episodes of Stargate SG-1 on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh, gosh.
He just looked plastic with the mouth kind of moving up and down. It was very Max Headroom.
Wow.
It was not pleasant.
Would that be considered fake news?
You raise an interesting point. It could be real. Well, okay, now that's...
It'd be real news, but reported... That's not a personality. That's
Well, but okay, you've actually raised a really interesting point I hadn't considered. So it's a fake newscaster. I mean, he's obviously not real. And the point is he's not real. But if he's learning from the news himself, he's not having the news read and vetted and loaded into him by real people. So if he's just skimming all the different news sites, Lord knows what it's going to pull up. And yes, it could very easily be used to start broadcasting fake news or incorrect news or misreported stories.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that. Thank you for putting that in my mind.
I had my Wheaties this morning, y'all.
Now, okay, this part of it, too, is another kind of shot across the bow, I think, of us sort of meat bodies trying to do the news and radio. The news agency points to what it sees as certain advantages of the AI anchor, saying it can work 24 hours a day on its official website and various social media platforms, reducing news production costs and improving efficiency. South China Morning Post suggests it could save networks money in news anchor salaries, and even one day may challenge the human variety. I don't like the sound of that.
No, that puts so many people with skills out of a job.
Well, yeah, because if you get some good CG designers out there and they're able to put together some kind of digital Chris Hemsworth who's sitting there reading the news off, I got nothing. I can't compete against that.
Oh, God.
Some experts are skeptical about the kind of news-watching experience an AI news anchor offers. One said it's quite difficult to watch for more than a few minutes. It's very flat, very single-paced, and it's got no rhythm, pace, or emphasis, says Michael Woolridge from the University of Oxford. And compared to a trusted human news anchor, he says, if you're just looking at animation, you've completely lost that connection to an anchor. Yeah, it was just like watching a prototype of Toy Story. It was just
That's creepy. That's so creepy to me.
It was spooky. There was that weird Uncanny Valley thing. It was like watching the Polar Express, but he's yapping the news at me. It was not pleasant. And I like the innovation. I like the creativity of that, but I just don't think that's the proper use for news, because that's like Blade Runner type dystopia coming up, you know?
Right. I think the human touch will always be a little bit, better preferred. I don't think this thing's really going to take off.
I
hope not. At least I hope not.
Yeah.
Or else we got to look for a new career.
I don't want them to fail too hard.
Okay.
So yeah, moving on. Gotta have my news stories and my news stings in there. A woman who entered a McDonald's through an employee door on a quest for ketchup became combative and assaulted a manager, police said on Tuesday.
Nobody can do it like McDonald's can.
I don't know where you find these. This is horrible.
Around I gotta turn this off. I can't handle that.
Great.
Around 11 p.m., while the dining room was closed and the drive-thru remained open, the woman entered through a back door and went into the restaurant asking employees for ketchup. She became combative when the manager told her the building was closed to customers, police said. The video from inside the restaurant shows the woman punching and choking the manager, and another employee coming to the victim's aid. A third employee appeals to a man who was standing by the back door, apparently waiting for the woman. He ran into the restaurant and pulled the woman off the manager, and the pair fled. What is going on at McDonald's?
I mean, that seems like a reasonable.
There may be some meth in that ketchup.
I was going to ask
she
why
just needed ketchup.
Seems like a reasonable reaction.
I was going to ask, why are people so angry at McDonald's all the time? But then I realized, it's McDonald's. Have you ever eaten there? Of course you're going to be angry.
Oh, man.
I paid $8 for this.
Those damn chicken nuggets.
That's messed up. She was saucy.
Jeez.
Oh, Lord.
Terrible puns.
I couldn't help it. Just saucy. My son will tell you I do stuff like this, and him and Ray are looking at me like, really?
It's bad
and me,
enough.
I start laughing at myself.
It is bad enough that I've got Thunderstruck pulling this. I do not need the two of you.
Okay, I'll stop.
I've only got two hands.
Oh, man.
I can't work all the buttons with these things. So, yeah, she...
Did she get a ketchup?
You know what? It doesn't say. I kind of hope she didn't, just because I don't want to encourage that kind of behavior. Because, the wrong people hear that, she went into the McDonald's and she beat the crap out of people and they gave her ketchup. Well, I want more ketchup. Maybe I'll just start slapping people around.
Yeah, just keep taking it further. See how far you can go, what you can get.
Won't make it out the parking lot.
Get a quarter pounder.
Police will be right there waiting on you.
Oh, man.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned quarter pounder, because the story after the next one I think you'll quite like.
Oh.
Actually, why don't we just do that? We'll just keep the theme and I'll come back to the one after this. A 60-year-old mother was assaulted by her 39-year-old daughter with a cheeseburger at a McDonald's located in Indiana. What, did you try to make her eat it? I mean...
Just trying to force feed her, apparently.
The police arrived at the scene and found the mother crying in her car, bruised. What kind of burger was it?
It was a bit of stale burger.
Bruised and covered in ketchup, mustard, and pickles.
She didn't even bother to clean herself up.
Well, she didn't want to contaminate the evidence. But I think that song sounds like she had a McBeaten.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
But I think they should offer the daughter a job at McDonald's, because the last burger I had there didn't have any of those condiments on it.
Jeez.
The pair had been arguing in their car while driving through the drive-thru. The daughter told the mother that she wanted her to die, and the mother stated she could no longer live in her home. This is all going on while the granddaughter was sitting in the back seat of the she'd gone into the McDonald's to use the bathroom. The grandmother took the granddaughter in to use the bathroom. When they came back to the car, the daughter took a bite out of her cheeseburger before yelling, "B word, I ought to kill you," and then punched her mother with the hand holding her burger, striking the woman in the face.
Oh my God.
What a waste of a perfectly good burger.
No, this is McDonald's, remember?
Oh, okay. Sorry, you're right.
It was a burger, but the assault left the woman covered in burger residue with the left side of her face swelling. The daughter got into another driver's vehicle and escaped the scene, and the police were currently looking for her.
Jesus.
I'm beginning to think that the health nuts are correct and that McDonald's might not be healthy for us.
Apparently not.
It makes you angry. That's like a side effect of steroids. Like maybe there was some steroids in the burger.
Well, what is it about people? Again, it comes back to after they've gotten their food, they flip out. And it just has to be that the food is just so awful.
It just makes you violent. There you go.
Because when I've started to eat, I get kind of loggy and I calm down and I'm like happy now. Even if it was food, at least I've got my blood sugars back to balanced, and so I'm feeling a little better now. Mm-hmm. But these people get their McDonald's and just go berserk.
Jesus.
I don't get it.
This is why I'm Team Jack in the Box.
I'm no longer feeding my son McDonald's.
I think that's wise.
I'm following that. That's the moral of the story.
Because he might come at you with a quarter pounder one of these days.
And if he does, he gonna walk to me, but he gonna be limping back. He better not try that. Right, Drew?
He's not paying any attention. There are lessons to be learned here today. You can play this in the car on the way home. You hear this? You hear this? What I'm talking about?
I want you to hear this, and you're gonna listen to it over and over and over, and then we're gonna go to McDonald's, and I'm gonna order you a cheeseburger with ketchup,
with ketchup, mustard, and pickles.
Yes,
just to drive the point home. Stephanie Lynn Hicks from Melbourne, Florida, was arrested after throwing hot nacho cheese over a 7-Eleven employee after she claims the worker had an attitude when she spoke to her.
Jesus.
It's amazing to me what you can find on the internet, even now.
Oh my God.
This is terrible.
It is pretty awful. Stephanie entered the convenience store at approximately 2 a.m. 2 a.m., for God's sake.
You wanted some nachos.
I'm going to put it out there that if you're going anywhere, to a grocery store or a 7-Eleven at 2 a.m., there is evil in your heart.
Nothing.
You're not up to any kind of good.
Yeah, nothing good happens at a 7-Eleven at 2 a.m. in the morning.
So she entered the 7-Eleven at 2 and claimed she entered the store for a sandwich and a hot cup of cheese. As she was pouring the nacho cheese into a cup, the 7-Eleven clerk told Stephanie not to open the cheese container. So first of all, she's getting a cup of cheese and she's not even pumping it. She's just scooping it out of the top. So I'm already having strike 2 here. Stephanie claims the worker spoke to her with an attitude, which I think would be warranted because food safety, maybe scalding the skin off of her hand by dipping into a vat of hot cheese. She claims the worker spoke to her with an attitude, which sparked an argument where the suspect called the store clerk several names. Doesn't list what those names are, unfortunately, but I would have been fascinated to know. When Hicks approached the counter, the employee denied her service. Stephanie then hurled her sandwich and hot cheese at the coworker, who was left covered in hot yellow nacho cheese on her hands, her foot, and on the floor behind the register. The worker informed Stephanie she would be calling the police. The police arrived, spotted Stephanie standing at the front of the store. So she just stood there.
No shame.
And so, of course, she was arrested.
She knows what she did.
She knows. Maybe, I don't think she does. I think she was just tweaking.
To sit and wait for the police to arrive? Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do with a cup of hot cheese? I mean, that's too much for one sandwich, even if you were going to put it on there.
I just... not your cheese.
Oh.
All these issues with food.
No, you know what? You're not getting the rim shot. You need to just calm down.
All I'm saying is that was not a Gouda joke. Thank you. I try.
Nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
We try here.
I got the whole array set up here today. Oh my God.
Oh,
goodness gracious.
I'm sure we have many listeners eye rolling right about now.
I hope so.
Or 2 listeners.
At least eye rolling and not changing the station.
There you go.
I'll take eye rolls any day.
Right.
Anime Anderson of Florida attacked her housemate after he ate the last bowl of cereal. Anderson began arguing with her housemate after he ate the last bowl of cereal. When another housemate tried to intervene in the argument, Anime grabbed a wooden paper towel holder and hit the intervening man in the face with it.
Oh, my.
He then grabbed her and tried to put her to bed, but she fought back and grabbed a decorative duck and struck the victim with the ornament multiple times.
Jesus Christ.
Anime, I keep wanting to say enema, but Anime made her way outside the house, and a neighbor heard the loud screams and called the police. The next day, the victim, who slept downstairs, woke and went into a bedroom to get his clothes. Apparently they share a room. She was awake, and she threw his clothes on the floor and proceeded to attack him again.
Dang.
First, she grabbed a lamp and struck him on the arm, then jumped on his back and ripped his shirt, according to the police. When Anime was arrested later, she claimed she was only retaliating in self-defense.
What kind of cereal was this? Wow, that's what I want to know.
I don't know, but I have a feeling it was generic. I don't.
Aww,
Oh, no.
The one that comes in the big giant bag, just the bag.
Yes, just the bag. This is not a house that has name brands in it.
Oh, that's one of those.
Yeah. I would not want to be the poor bastard in that house who leaves the toilet seat up.
Yeah, right?
She will come for you.
She won't let it go. I mean, they rested and then went at it some more. You know.
Oh my God.
There's a cat fight every day at that house. I can't even. If what else must go on there if cereal was the triggering factor? Cereal was the bridge too far.
Could be a PlayStation.
That's very true. I get the feeling, just based on the one line, that one of the roommates was trying to put her to bed, that it was some kind of halfway house. Maybe there was like addicts recovering or whatnot.
I do not want
I just imagine like a sleeper hold. Like that's what he was trying to do.
Well,
trying to put her to bed.
He probably.
See?
You didn't change the whole game now.
See? Right?
God.
Leaving you breathless.
You just. I'm this close to turning your mic off. Or at least just bringing it down low so we could. While the rest of us are having a conversation.
That's
Danny Holder, 68, had an argument with his adult stepson, Randall Lowen, 55, over a chili dog and shot him dead.
Yes.
Oh.
You're mad, right? You're mad. But you can't be mad because you ordered me a chili dog. Chili dog. Chili dog. Right? Chili dog. Chili dog.
One night during an argument over a chili dog, Holder threatened to shoot his stepson, Randall, but was unable to find his gun, and his wife has hidden the firearm in a dresser drawer. Now, I'm left with all kinds of questions here, like what kind of people are these that the wife thinks a foolproof place to hide things would be in a dresser? What that he's not the kind of person that would think to look where his clothes are. Is it weird for him to look for socks? I have questions. The next day, Holder got into another argument with his stepson. This time he allegedly pulled out another gun and killed his stepson.
Oh my goodness.
That is so sad.
When officers arrived and arrested Holder, the police heard him mutter under his breath, "That was the last straw." So he sounds real stable.
Oh my God. That's
horrifying.
A chili dog.
Not sure what I can do to joke about this.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
Very depressing.
It's so sad. Like,
Should I play the song again?
I don't want. I don't want to be the guy that dies over a chili dog. Let's just say that. Jesus Christ.
Well, then don't argue.
There you
don't
go.
argue. Just
like his last breath was like over a chili dog.
When you're arguing with a crazy person over a chili dog, you let them have it. As in Ghostbusters, when somebody asks you if you are a god, you say yes.
There you go. Jesus. Oh my God.
There are some arguments, there are some hills that are not worth dying on, literally and figuratively.
There you go.
It's so sad.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to bring you down. So
thank you.
Here, this will make you feel a little better.
Well, I hope so.
World-class dart player Gary Anderson beat his opponent, Wesley Harms, 10-2 this weekend in a Grand Slam of darts match. Afterward, each player accused the other player of playing dirty throughout the match by continually farting.
Oh.
Wow.
Anderson strongly denied the accusation of rampant farting during their showdown, saying he thought the offensive odors were coming from his opponent. The two professional players pointed the finger at each other and became the talk of the darts world over the weekend.
Oh, man.
Anderson said, "Every time I walked past, there was a waft of rotten eggs, and so that's why I was thinking it was him." It definitely wasn't me. I thought he crapped himself, and I went, that's dirty. His opponent, who was 34, blamed his poor performance on an assault of his olfactory sensors. It'll take me 2 nights to lose the smell from my nose, he said. Anderson retorted, if that boy thinks I've been farting, he's 110% wrong. I swear on my children's lives it was not my fault.
Oh, my God.
I've had a bad stomach once on stage and admitted it, so I'm not going to lie about farting now.
OMG.
Okay. The dart world, it is a competitive place.
It is an angry, very competitive place.
It is a jungle. A stinky, rotten egg-smelling jungle. Wow.
Yeah,
You missed the target.
And I just love that was the point of contention. Just that each thought the other one was purposefully gassing out the other to make him try to lose.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh, man.
A 53-year-old man has been arrested for practicing dentistry without a license.
You'll be a dentist. You have a talent for causing things. Son, be a dentist. People will pay you to be inhumane.
A couple met with Robbie Rhinelander through a mutual friend. Robbie told the couple that he was a practicing dentist. The wife needed dental work, so they paid him to perform the procedure at home to keep costs low. Robbie extracted her tooth, but a tooth fragment was left in the gum, causing the wife to have further medical problems.
Aww.
Unknown to the couple, Robbie was only licensed as a dental technician during the years between 2004 and 2006 in South Carolina and had not actually gotten a dentistry license. The couple contacted Manatee County Sheriff's detective in September, telling them of the incident, and through his investigation, the police found that another possible patient stated Robbie pulled out 10 of his teeth without anesthesia and made dentures for him.
Oh, God.
Why would you sit still for the other 9? That's one of my questions on this one.
That is horrible.
The police set up a sting, and an undercover detective managed to arrange a meeting for Robbie to perform some dental work. He was later arrested and charged with practicing dentistry without a license.
That makes my mouth hurt.
Why would you wait for the other 10 teeth?
Yeah. I wouldn't. I'd be like, what's wrong with you?
Okay, A, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
If you're going to sit there and do that. And B, what if whatever was going on in your mouth was already so bad that actually having 10 teeth pulled without anesthesia was the preferable option?
Just want to see what this guy's teeth look like before he got them pulled out.
Ugh. I kind of don't.
I'm with you.
If you're having home dentistry, that's not going to be something you're going to see like Uber and Uber Eats or anything coming to your house anytime soon. I hope. Because, we keep a clean house, but I still wouldn't trust our own sanitary levels to be the same as a medical office.
Right? Oh, my God.
So, yeah, I don't know about that.
Oh.
This story was just very curious, just very strange. Authorities are looking for 2 men who were filmed cooking potatoes and eggs on top of the eternal flame, a monument memorializing the dead of World War II, located in Victory Square in the capital of Kyrgyzstan, or capital city of Kyrgyzstan, Bishkek.
That's my jam right there.
I'll send you a link to this one. The mayor's office released a statement pleading to the public to help for finding the vandals. How do you desecrate a flame? I mean,
they use the potato. You can't do that.
But there's no lasting harm. I mean, there's disrespect, but it's not vandalism.
The potato skin juice that drop into the fire.
But it burns. They were trying to help. They were trying to help find these vandals who desecrated the eternal flame by cooking on top of it. So yeah, there's a great picture. These guys, like, they had, I don't know, sticks or coat hangers or something with some potatoes hanging off the end. They were just hanging out in the, roasting them in the fire.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Oh. I think it is just it is just an additional continuing to serve the nation.
There you go. One potato at a time.
The soldiers gave their lives for in World War II, not gave, where lives were taken in World War II, and the flame is there, and it continues to serve the hungry.
There you go.
Go ahead, LaTanya, refute me.
The both of you do not want me to.
She's just kind of closing her eyes, sort of looking,
I'm
praying
venting.
at the moment.
I'm praying. I'm doing what my psychiatrist told me to do.
Oh, God.
When confronted with moments like this.
She's about to start swinging. Oh, God.
She's sitting there calmly, but I can just hear inside of her head.
Yes.
Jesus. Oh, man.
Woosah.
Sounds like the last date I went on. Jesus. Oh, my goodness.
How many years ago was that?
Oh. I was a young man. I didn't have all this hair.
I was going to say, was that Thunderstruck BB before beard?
There you go.
Yeah.
Babyface Thunderstruck. Oh, God.
Joseph Grigsby from Delray Beach, Florida, fired a gun near a 70-year-old woman because he thought she was typing too loudly.
Oh, my goodness.
John was seated in one room of the house while a 70-year-old lady was typing away on her computer in another room. The relationship between the pair is currently unknown. It's been reported that he'd been drinking for most part of the day, naturally, because, when you're in Florida. John walked into the bedroom and lay down on the bed next to her. He then began to complain of loud typing, but she did not stop. Moments later, he got up from the bed, exited the room, and returned with a .38 caliber handgun and held it near her head.
Oh.
While standing near the lady, he aimed the gun toward the bathroom and then fired the weapon, and then he told her after he fired, "This is me not shooting you."
Oh, my goodness.
Police were called.
Jesus.
Why is it always the gun that somebody reaches for immediately?
Oh, that's Florida for you.
Now, I will say I am very anti-gun. I think they serve a purpose. There are certain purposes that guns can be used for. I mean, they're always destructive purposes, but sometimes certain things are necessary. However, the fact that so many people have so many guns and can just simply flee to their garage to grab one when somebody is annoying them speaks of a certain comfort, a ubiquity about this that means people don't respect the damage and the death and things that guns can cause.
Oh, man.
I didn't mean to turn this into a gun control rant.
No, you're fine.
I mean, okay, dude's arguing about chili dog. Guys gets a gun and kills his stepson.
What?
Guy's upset that this woman is typing too loudly. Fires a gun in the house to threaten her. What? Why?
I can't even comment.
These are the titular imbeciles that we are referring to in this show, Breakfast of Imbeciles, every Tuesday and Thursday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Griffin Radio.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah, I have a problem with that.
We should just do away with the whole state of Florida. Let's just
with the voting.
Like Bugs Bunny, get the saw. Just
there
cut
you go.
Yeah.
Just let them drift off.
They're yours now, Cuba. Have fun.
Don't say we didn't give you nothing.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, we could, but there's a lot of good restaurants in Miami. It's a nice beachfront property. Right, is that worth it? Does that outweigh the rest of it?
We'll just cut around them.
No.
We'll just cut around them.
No.
Let the rest of them drift off.
Fair enough.
There you
Give
go.
them like a 3-day warning.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think we are going to get out of here at the moment because we got to get prepped for our next show here. DJ Threadz is going to be hosting her own show right after this at 10 a.m. What's going on?
Yay, that's what it be.
That wasn't a question, by the way. That was the name of the show. Just
okay. I was confused. I was a little confused.
That's okay.
There. Okay.
That's okay.
Do you want to give us a little heads up what we're going to be expecting from you, or do you just want to keep it a secret?
I want to keep it a secret.
Keep it a
conversation.
Well, everybody, stick around then. DJ Threadz is going to be doing her show here in about 5 minutes, and I am going to be sitting there joining her and hopefully making some sort of meaningful contribution. But if the last hour has been any indication, that's not likely.
You always do.
Everybody, don't forget to check us out on our Facebook page at Griffin Radio 119. Our Instagram account is Griffin Radio SD, and you can always hear us on the TuneIn app under the Griffin Radio channel for your Android and iPhone. I have been DJ Lunchbox here on Breakfast of Imbeciles, joined by
DJ Threadz
and DJ Thunderstruck.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We will not be here this Thursday, but we will see you again next Tuesday.